Hello, everybody, and welcome again to TableTakes. How is everybody doing? I hope great. I hope fantastic. I hope the sun, moon, and stars are good as long as you just don't pay attention to the news. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. I and look, oh, da, 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 it's a random encounter. It's Derek. How have you been, Derek?
Skiddly doo, skiddly doo. Yeah, I mean, I've been busy with Gen Con, but I figured I would come back in, say hi, and see how things are going. Sounds like everything is totally fine, and nobody here has questionable taste in movies.
Yeah,
That would be a tragedy
here. Right, Noir? No one has questionable
I
taste.
stand by my choices. I apologize for nothing.
How have you been though, besides standing by your choices?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm inhaling and exhaling continuously. Been busy with, my job's Kickstarter, the Everyday Hero stuff. Thank you all so much for the support for that, by the way. I've got a busy day tomorrow for our show Morning Ritual. Our guest is Matt Mercer. So that's been fun to plan. Also getting our moderators ready, just in case.
So when you bring someone into your morning ritual, like, do they get to hold the dagger during the sacrifice, or like how does that work?
So the reason that we're able to get so many people to come onto our show is because the morning ritual involves a human sacrifice. So we let guests choose who they want sacrificed, and we have a team to go and get that person. And so that's how it's done.
It's good. It's good that people have these like cleansing ceremonies every now and then. It's good these traditions are kept up. What about you, Javion? How have you been?
I've been good. I've been escaping into my VR headset that I got for my birthday, and I think I think I've started to dissociate a little bit because my dreams are starting to become a little bit more realistic. Like I started playing this game where you walk on a plank over a huge pit, not a pit, but like on a skyscraper super high up in the air. So it's basically just I love heights, and I don't know why I enjoy this game. I just like the looking down in that vertigo sense, but then I had a dream that was a little too similar, and I realized I wasn't playing the game. I woke up. I was like, "Oh no, this is scary for real."
Wait, do they have a VR game that's basically you play those urban explorers who like go to Dubai or something and climb the tallest tower possible?
Yeah, there's a couple like that. There's the one I was talking about. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like walking on a plank, um, high up in the air and like over New York or something. But then there's like climbing games where you literally are like climbing huge like walls and stuff like that. Then there's the Alex Honnold free solo VR experience where you are on the wall with Alex Honnold as he's got no ropes whatsoever. He's hanging upside down on a giant rock, hundreds of feet up in the air, and it is psychotic that he does it, but it's so cool to do the VR thing with it because I'm looking at it, I'm like,
you're one of those void call people, aren't you? The void callers.
I don't know
the void
the meaning
embracers.
of the word. I really don't. I don't know what that is at all.
No, but that's still cool. I would put a big old nope on that experience myself, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Oh, and thanks to all of y'all for the birthday wishes this week. I had a fun birthday party yesterday, and thanks to everybody who was at my birthday party yesterday. You guys are the best.
What did you do?
We played every big group game you can think of. We played Werewolf. We played Monikers, the charades game. We played on a scale of 1 to T-Rex, and we were all pretending to be chopping onions and saying "I'm a little baby" at different volume levels. And none of my neighbors complained. So success.
I'll still happy for you, of course. Happy rotation around the sun. All the blessings towards you. And all the things that we could be excited for. So now that we got one birthday down, we should probably start be planning for the next birthday, and I think there's some I feel like there's a list or something that we could go ahead and speak about of games that a lot of people think are really, really good to get. Oh, yes, that reminds me of our first headline today, which is going to be the Spiel des Jahres nominees are announced today. So on Monday, Spiel des Jahres announced their Game of the Year nominees, being these, so you guys can jump in, because I'm I didn't play all of these games for the Spiel des Jahres Game of the Year, which is different than the Kinderspiel des Jahres, which is the Enthusiast Game of the Year. And we'll go ahead and talk more about that. But the games that were announced is, of course, Cascadia, a puzzle tile lane token drafting game featuring the habitats and wildlife of the Pacific Northwest. Oh, wait, there you go.
And it's designed by locals too, Seattle locals.
Yes, I am surprised that I don't have that game. I've heard about it and I've been like, ooh, maybe I should get it, but I just never pulled,
the art is beautiful.
Bonsai, you would love it. It's the perfect introductory game, but it's also a good casual, fun, replayable thing that me and my friend Patrick, we play it every week at least.
Ooh, so yes, that's going to be on a list of things to get. Also, Scout, a ladder climbing game, which cards have two potential values. Players may not rearrange these cards, hand of cards, and players may pass their turn. Or it's a card trick game. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing, Derek, you're the one who played this game as well.
Yeah, I had a chance to play it at PAX Unplugged. And it was a very neat trick taking game, because you just mentioned you can't rearrange the cards in your hand, and at first you think okay, who cares? That's just a thing I do to occupy my time. But the whole point of the game is that you're trying to get pairs and runs of cards and stuff like that to play. So it ends up being a very interesting strategic thing where sometimes you'll pick up cards and add them to your hand, and that's where you can choose what orientation and position you want to put them in. So you try to be very strategic about what you add to your hand when, so that then you can kind of turn around and play a big play on your next turn and hope somebody else doesn't. It's one of those things where it's a very, very simple mechanic and it's a very simple game. But you kind of just have to see it in action, and then it clicks and you're like, oh man, this is really clever. And you really haven't played a whole lot of other games that play that way. So I can definitely see why it's on the list.
Ooh. All right. Yeah, we'll have to. It looks like a very eye-catching color card. So if you ever have a chance to click on these links, definitely do so you can see. And then also the last game that is nominated is Top 10, a party game with answers from the most logical to the most eccentric. Any of you play this one at all? I don't think our group is into party games at all.
I definitely could have used this one last night. This looks cool.
Those kind of games, you need friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
wow.
I mean, we have friends. Kind of.
Maybe Noir, if you stopped bringing them to the morning ritual and killing them, you'd have more left. Have you thought about that?
Okay,
you need to live with the repercussions of your decisions, sir.
The quizzes in this economy?
All right, let's think about that. Since you're so enthusiastic, let's go ahead and roll right into the enthusiastic game of the year. Enthusiasts, Kinderspiel des Jahres. I think I'm saying that right. Right, Derek? You are, yeah.
I mean, I know people who speak German, so I guess that makes me the German expert on the show right now. Cool.
You are the German expert. Thank you.
Yep, it's the Kinderspiel.
Kinderspiel. All right, but yes. So the reason why these are different is that the what is called the Spiel des Jahres has a committee that judges the top games of the year, versus the Kinderspiel is more for people who play the games. They're the enthusiasts. We love these games, and so they don't necessarily have the same criteria.
Yeah, I think there's the three categories they have. They have the Spiel des Jahres, which is the overall these are the best games, and traditionally those games tend to be very accessible, even to people who aren't quote unquote gamers or would call themselves gamers. They're not necessarily geared towards the people who want the hardcore Euro game and are already really into the hobby. It's more for people who are looking to explore something or get into it. Then they have the Kinderspiel, and those are the games that are best for younger audiences, younger kids. A lot of great stuff in there too if you have children that are growing up and you want to introduce them to some games. And then I think I want to say we talked about it on TableTakes a couple of years ago, about when they added the Kennerspiel.
Yeah.
Was the new category specifically to get to the kind of harder core hobbyist, enthusiast, like lifestyle gamer kind of games. And that's where stuff that I think, is probably a little more up our alley, or more that we're expected to play more often would come up. So seeing like Dune Imperium pop up on that's a kind of a game that would definitely, I would be really surprised to see on the Spiel des Jahres, but in the Kennerspiel, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So thank you for helping me roll into that. First one, of course, is going to be, let's go ahead and do it in order. Cryptic Urban Legends, a tense asymmetric game of competitive abstract deduction of 2 players. Wow, there's a lot of hard words on this one. And then I heard Javion, you're the one who's like, yes, give me this game. I want to play
Yes, Cryptid is a very interesting kind of game. If you like Clue or any of those like deduction-based games, you're kind of gathering information using the other players who have to be honest, otherwise the game just breaks. But you're trying to figure out where the cryptid is, that this singular creature no one knows exists or not. It's really cool.
And that was on Kickstarter, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really successful one too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, next, Dune Imperium. I have this game. I also have this game, and I feel like this is a no hands. Like, there's a lot of us gamers out there that are like, yes, Dune Imperium, not a surprise on anybody's list. Right. Deck building. So I'm sorry if you don't know what it is. It's a deck building worker placement set game for Dune, which we're waiting for the second movie to come out already. Come on,
Spice Melange.
We also heard who's playing the Emperor on that. You can look that up for yourself. But also, Living Forest is where you play as nature spirits who try to save the forest and its secret tree from the flames of Onibi. Did I pronounce that right? Onibi?
Sure. Onibi.
Sure. And then moving right along, we got the Kinder des Jahres, Children's Game of the Year. These Yakshan, I'm sorry.
Yakshan Clever?
Yakshan Clever. I'm so sorry. Some of these games are hard. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best.
Just wait for the next one.
And then, oh, God. Quack and Co. Quedlinburg Dash of Quinn. I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard. Jamie,
I appreciate you, Bonsai.
We love you, Bonsai.
I need like a breakdown of all these, and then Magic Mountain, where you play as wizards, where you go down and racing witches. Wizards and witches, always a great rivalry that I love. But yes, Spiel and Kinderspiel winners will be announced on July 16th, and the Kennerspiel winners will be released on June 20th. So keep your eyes on who wins that. And much excitement, almost says, Dana, 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 Derek, yeah. What do you have announced? That
was Tank, by the way.
That wasn't.
No, Tank, the theme song.
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay, yes. Yep. I was like, what?
So we have it was a headline a while ago about the Cowboy Bebop RPG getting announced, and now the playtest rules are out and they're open for everyone to grab. So I grabbed them, I took a look at them, haven't had a chance to read them in depth or play it yet, but even just kind of skimming through it, it looks pretty intriguing. I think there was a lot of discussion when it was first announced of like, what is this really going to be like? And if you're going to make an RPG of Cowboy Bebop, how are you going to really kind of capture the feeling of the tempo of the show and how important the music was and all that kind of stuff? And I think people were a little worried to see what the gameplay would be like. But now that it's out, I think I really want to see it in action, but it does feel very indie. It's very much that like your character sheet is like a list of traits, and when you attempt a task, you're gonna add dice based on how many traits you have, and it has a very common kind of mechanic that's popular among indie games right now of like a 4, 5, 6 on a die being a success and a 1, 2, 3 being a failure, basically. But there's some interesting elements where they're really trying to set a structure to an episode or a session that they're calling this 3, 2, 1, let's jam like rhythm or tempo, basically, where like at the beginning of the session, there aren't a whole lot of consequences if you fail. You just, if you fail, you kind of figure like you'll keep rolling basically, but it's harder to help your other players succeed at stuff. And as each session, or as you kind of progress through that structure, more and more things there's a greater risk of consequences coming at you, and having to pay a price for success. But it's also easier to help your allies. So there's some interesting elements. There's also a thing where you can wager and bet your traits, and if you succeed, great. If you lose, then you don't get to use that trait for the rest of the session. So it feels like there's a little bit of like an in kind of thing. The character sheets also look very Cowboy Bebop-y, I guess, in a sense. So it feels like it's a group. It's an Italian design studio, I believe, of people who clearly love Cowboy Bebop. They have a pretty good breakdown of like what the tenets of Cowboy Bebop are, which is like you never have enough money, but the money isn't the problem per se. Like you're always poor and kind of running for money, but you're never like actually starving to death, or you always have that opportunity to pass up easy money for a moral reason, or when you do get money, you like, so money, you're not collecting money, basically. It's a problem, but it's not the problem. And that your past is always going to come back to haunt you. A couple things like that. So I feel like they've boiled it down pretty well, and they've given kind of a very basic indie setup to a lot of these rules. And I think they kind of just want to see how people are going to play with them. I think they do a pretty good job breaking it down if you're familiar with indie RPGs. But if you are familiar with kind of more traditional RPGs, I think you might want to kind of read some tips on how to play a little more freeform a little bit before jumping in headfirst. But it's also a good excuse to just have a marathon of Cowboy Bebop, because that anime is fantastic stuff.
Absolutely. When you were describing the 3, 2, 1, let's jam structure, like that is a perfect breakdown of Cowboy Bebop in and of itself. Each episode is like, there's the planning phase where things can go wrong and it's not detrimental. Then there's the midst of whatever they're getting into. And like the third act is always the nail biter. And it's even that way throughout the entire series. The beginning of the series is a lot lighter, the middle, and then at the end, it's really severe. So that's really clever to see how designers are able to take a look at the source material and translate it into a rule set. That's really cool.
Even in the playtest stuff, so I think they call each of those a tab. Like you're in the 3 tab, and then you go to the 2 tab, and then the 1, and then you're in the let's jam tab, basically. And each of them changes the rules slightly to kind of ramp up the stakes, but allow you to kind of interact more. And then each one, even in the playtest rules, they gave, I think, at least 2 examples from the show of an episode of like, this is a scene in that episode that would be in this tab at the on the tabletop. And then go, if you want an example of what tab 2 would look like, go to this episode and look at this scene, and that's kind of where the transition is. So it's very interesting. I would really love to get a group that's all really into Cowboy Bebop, and then play this. And then it occurs to me that part of why I want to do that is to see what kind of weird soundtrack we would end up coming up with. You have to get one of those too, but
I feel like it has to be given with this thing. They're gonna have to make a playlist at some point. Be like, here's the extra add-on. You can get a playlist to get in the mood.
Yeah, so real promising. I think if anybody is big on indie RPGs and anime and Cowboy Bebop in particular, definitely check out the playtest rules. Give them a shot, and then give them your feedback so they can, polish things up for whenever the final release is planned. I don't know if they've announced that yet.
No, I don't think they have yet. It's just more of like, here's the playtest. tell me what you think. So all of you, we highly suggest go ahead, look up for where the playtest is right now, play it, see if you can like make some suggestions, like a soundtrack, and maybe even suggest in the Gen Con like news being like, hey, we would really like to see if TableTakes did an after TableTakes of this Cowboy Bebop game. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
That'd be awesome.
It's we all have to be thirsty for more games. What do you think? I'm sorry. Do you
Oh no, I'm
water?
yeah. I mean, I'm a little thirsty, but you know who else are thirsty? The winners of the Nebula Award this year, for game writing, which is Thirsty Sword Lesbians. So the SFWA announced the winners of the 57th annual Nebula Awards. And of course, like as previously mentioned, that Thirsty Sword Lesbians won for game writing. The writers being April Kit Walsh, Whitney Del Gio, Dominic Dickey, Jonia Kemper, Alexis Sarah, and Ray Najati of Evil Hat Games. This is one of the most prestigious sci-fi and fantasy awards, writing awards. And in 2019, they added game writing, and Thirsty Sword Lesbians has their history makers as the first tabletop game to win the award. So this is a big deal. I've had the chance to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians myself. It is a wildly imaginative and fun game to play. There are tons of actual plays out there that feature this. It's integrated extraordinarily well in Roll20. Definitely recommend if you have the chance to play something and you want to just get a group of friends together. It's really accessible, easy to jump into. This is just a good all-around game, and I'm extraordinarily happy to hear that they won this. And I'm also extraordinarily happy that the Nebula Award is looking into game writing, because it's major. We have so many talented folks in the scene. I mean, just taking a look at the last story, being able to break down an anime as wild as Cowboy Bebop and turning it into game design, that is a remarkable talent. And I think that we're starting to see that being more appreciated in the mainstream. So congratulations to Thirsty Sword Lesbians and everybody on the Evil Hat team. You all completely deserve it. Anybody here have a chance to play it?
I have not yet. I backed it on Kickstarter, and I love it for having like probably one of the most accurate, evocative, and like direct titles of any RPG out there. You're just like, hey, do you want to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians? And you know what you're getting into. I mean, even just to keep the anime connection going, like if you're like, hey, you want to play this? And someone's like, what? How does that even work? You're like, cool, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch Utena, and by the end of that, you will be in costume ready to play.
Man, that brought me back to getting those comic books as a young kid. But no, I have watched people play it, haven't played it myself. I just really, of course, what I gravitate to is the book art. I was like, oh, look at the art. I'm always a sucker for good art.
Gorgeous
and
book.
So yes. Huh?
It is a gorgeous book. And the anime I think of when I think Thirsty Sword Lesbians is Claymore. But again, my choices in movies and anime isn't appreciated.
No. Claymore's respectable.
Okay.
Respectable.
It's really good.
Like it's not like anime does not give us a wealth of choices to channel for Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
You're not wrong.
What about you, Javion? What is your thoughts about this?
Well, I think it's really awesome that they're getting this award. I mean, they're up there with games like God of War, Kentucky Route Zero. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a huge honor. I could only hope to aspire to get to this level of like notoriety, but I'm also really happy to see plenty of representation going on. Lots and lots of people are getting into RPGs that I never would have like imagined getting awards like this when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even think that they could exist. So I think it's a really exciting time.
No, yeah, I think it is a really exciting time. And then we should keep the ball rolling. Now that games are, starting to raise up people of all kinds of areas, recognizing that we all come from different walks of life. I feel like, as maybe we should reflect on that, maybe as American citizens. What do you think, Javion, that maybe we should fight for rights that
Yeah,
apply to everybody? What do you think
yeah,
about that?
absolutely. So, as you know, as you actually covered earlier this month, we have been covering lots of bundles on itch.io or itch.io that have been supporting very noble causes, and we're seeing another bundle for reproductive rights, similar to the one that we saw before. This one has even more games and products um, for a crazy pay what you want kind of style, $5 minimum for 454 items, a value of about 1,895 worth of RPGs. A lot of these are incredibly dense and well thought out, like tons and tons of content, rich RPGs available for the taking. They're all in PDF form, DRM free, and a lot of them tie in not just digital formats where you're playing over the internet, but like lots of physical things too. Like a lot of these RPGs utilize hand holding or towers and other cool things like that. Some of the ones that stood out to me: strong female character, disposable heroes. That one's a really interesting one where you're playing a roguelike TTRPG about drawing cards, which are these disposable heroes. You send them through the gig economy, which is the dungeon, and if they die, you just draw a new card. It's really interesting as a concept and even more fun to play. There's another one with a really funny name. Mom, Dad, I summoned a demon, and now we're getting married. You're gonna have to explore that one for yourself if you want to know how it plays. But I I back this because it's only $5. It's so easy. It's so easy to support a really noble cause. I just want to read
Well,
a little bit.
I like how
Go
we're
ahead.
finally in the Japanese light novel naming phase of RPGs,
Oh
where like
no.
you can just name your RPG a full sentence and you're like, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
fine, we'll do it.
I mean that's how you get people like me hooked on your game. Um, so I want to read a little bit of the stuff that they put on the bundle for everyone to see, but you can check it out yourself. Regardless of the eventual court outcome, the folks putting on this bundle believe that every person deserves the right to determine their own reproductive future. I just think that is a really beautiful message. And also, this bundle is great for people who play a lot of fifth edition. Not only does it has a lot of 5e compatible um, supplements and supplementary materials and accessories, but you can also find a lot of uh, world building assistance. There's lots of tools to add to your toolkit. The Map a Plot deck is great for creating new fantasy plots or for even creating new maps for your games. I think people from lots and lots of different genres that they play on their their weekly game or bi-weekly game or whatever can get a lot of content out of this bundle. It's definitely worth it, and it ends in 4 days and 6 hours, so you don't have a lot of time to back it. I definitely would say it's worth it if you want to check it out.
There were a couple other games in there that jumped out at me. One is Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands, which people who are kind of big in the indie RPG scene might recognize because it was fairly influential in the design of a lot of other indie RPGs. It's very well respected. It's an RPG kind of about revolution and fighting, rebelling against tyranny and stuff like that.
Mm,
And it ended up getting inspiring a lot of other games, I think. And then another one in there that I backed not too long ago on Kickstarter is called Be Seeing You, which is an RPG about like the surveillance state and independence and conformity and compliance. And it just arrived. I think I got my physical copies not too long ago, and it's gorgeous kind of like layout and design and whatnot. So there are some really, really neat games in there. And for $5, it's kind of hard to not imagine you're going to find more than your value's worth in there.
agreed. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely check this out. It's a huge deal. You're saving 99% and 454 different items. You're not going to be able to get through all of this in like a month.
That's just massive. And I want to just also say, keep continuing. We need to just it applies to everybody. We just want responsibility for our own bodies, and to be progressive to a point where, when we can have people for uppies for the boys, giant uppies for the boys, right, Javion?
Yeah.
Or not, and Noir, and Derek, sorry. But yes, Noir. What was it? Why do we want all these big uppies and for everyone? Uppies for everyone, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's uppies for the boys because it's about time that everybody gets swept off their feet. And you know who's really good at sweeping people off their feet? Giants. Wizards has obliged us by having new giant options in the latest Unearthed Arcana that's come out. There are 3 new subclasses with 10 feats. Barbarian, Path of the Giant, is a subclass that focuses on literally turning into a giant when you rage. They eventually turn into huge lightning hurling storm giants when they rage, and you can throw your friends around. So yes, you get to live the dream of the fastball special. Grab your dwarf buddy with axes in his hands and quite literally yeet him into the BBEG.
But like, you only get big when you rage. So do you know how many Hulks and She-Hulks we're gonna have at D&D tables now?
All of them.
All of them.
There's an infinite amount of She-Hulks is quite literally the best thing in the world. the Druid Circle.
You get a She-Hulk and you get a She-Hulk and you get a She-Hulk.
Oh, I mean, like, it all sounds great until you piss your partner off and then she hulks out at you. Then you get the legendary final uppie.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
The Druid Circle. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am terrified as a dungeon master that this might get a lot of traction with my players. Yeah, you were just about to say the Druid Circle or the Primeval one. That you go ahead and tell us about that one, because that's the one I'm like, oh no.
The Druid Circle of the Primeval subclass gains the assistance of a primeval companion that eventually becomes a gigantic wrecking machine.
Like, why? Why would they allow this?
Because giants. Because giants.
You get a Clifford. You get a Clifford the big red dog.
So Javion, I feel like you have just answered your own question. Why would they allow this? You get Clifford the big red dog. Like, I think that is why they allowed it.
The amount
saying you don't want a giant miniature space hamster? Come on.
I mean, of course we do. We all do in real life. But like, as a dungeon master, I'm the one who has to clean up after that giant dog. Okay.
No. So you just have to learn the lesson of the DM never has to clean up after anybody. You just have to make sure that their messes come back to haunt them later.
Okay. I mean, okay, that does sound pretty good.
You should also mention that this primeval companion does get a bit of a fear aura at around level 10.
Okay, cool.
So if you're playing in Javion's game, he's saying that you need to all sign up and like make all of these classes a full party of giant wielders.
No, you need one Path of the Giant to throw the giant primeval companion at the bad guys. And finally, there is the Wizard Rune Crafter subclass that focuses on using primeval magic of runes. And there's some pretty nifty tricks that the wizard can do now. They can, when they cast a spell at somebody, their allies can get a bonus to attack equal to the spell level used. They get their own version of Hex. And then there's another one where, depending on the level of spells, it's the spell level times 5 as an increase to their movement speed. So you're just going to have wizards just running all over the place like monks. It's going to be wild. The feats all focus on aspects of the power of different giants. For instance, the vigor of the hill giants makes you hardier and more difficult to move. And the soul of the storm giant lets you surround yourself in storm winds. A lot of elemental stuff at play here. So, this is great for anybody that wants to have a more elemental spec creature, or if you just want to flex your muscles at something until it dies. So, there's a variety. What do you all think?
Yeah, I just like being a big giant thing and throwing things. That's my plan. I keep seeing Javion's face is just nightmares,
Yeah.
and nightmares and nightmares.
I mean, at this point, I just want Javion to run the game, and we all play giants of some kind or other. We all use these different classes and abilities on one big giant group, as it were.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
We'll make it a Spelljammer campaign. Who cares? We'll just throw everything out.
He's enthusiastically in now.
There's one feat that gives you like temporarily a flight speed. And then like it's only for like one turn, I think, and then you fall afterwards. And I'm like, what would that be useful for? And then I was thinking, wait, Path of the Giant, the ultimate suplex.
Oh man.
Oh
It's
no!
definitely Hulk jumping.
You know, it would be great if they had a spell that was just cast to have like targeted enlargement. Maybe it's like a level down from like the regular enlarge spell, but you could have somebody with like a giant arm or like I don't know, like giant feet or something like that.
The
Like
body
big
horror
head
enlargement.
Yeah.
There you go. Just like, but like, just because your arm is enlarged doesn't mean that you can like wield it, though, right?
Bonsai,
Yeah, that makes sense.
based on the action figures that I assembled out of pieces of my other action figures when I was a child, I dispute that claim. And giant arm makes you totally cool. When I managed to take a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arm and whittle down the joint so it would fit into a G.I. Joe body, and he was the coolest.
All right. So I mean, everybody has their hobbies for what they do with their toys. My Barbies didn't have any hands or feet because I chewed them off. You just mutated your toys together.
You cannot judge me. You chewed off their hands and feet.
I had a biting problem when I was younger. This is everyone has these things as toys, right?
I made awesome mutant superheroes. And you did what, Titus Andronicus as a child? Come on.
Bonsai, I want you to hold on to this energy, bottle it up, and I want you to release it when we play a game night later, okay? Because it's going to come in
Ooh.
handy, I promise.
Yes. Take all the feet and arms. But you want to know something? Oh, what I want to tell you, Javion?
Yeah.
That I appreciate your bundles, Javion. Can you give us those bundles to our hearts?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Bonsai. I'm the bundle boss today, and I've got two big old bundles to offer all of our distinguished guests here on the Twitch stream. So our first bundle comes from Humble Bundle. It's been a while since we had one of these. For all you Pathfinder and Starfinder lovers out there, there is a Starfinder Bug Buster bundle. Navigate the stars in a universe where gods, magic, and technology intersect and become the intergalactic hero you've always wanted to be in Paizo's legendary science fantasy tabletop role-playing game, Starfinder. Yeah, so with this bundle, you are getting physical copies as well as digital copies of
What?
Starfinder. Yep, you get the Starfinder Armory, a physical book shipped directly to you. And you get a bunch of other items, 38 in total for only $35. Of course, you can downgrade if you want to, maybe just the 11 item bundle, but I think the best bang for your buck and the best bang for the charities buck, which just so happens to be World Central Kitchen. A very, very noble cause, and a great opportunity for you to get in on some of the sci-fi action. Yeah, so this is mostly just going to be adventures and maps with character manual and a GM screen, so you're not going to get the full all-in-one like some of these other bundles that we've seen. But it's still great for people who are looking to build up their collection. And if you're planning on getting Starfinder anyway, I mean, get this, get the book. There you go. That's all you need. And then our other bundle, or two bundles today, come from Bundle of Holding. Bundle of Holding has the Cypher System 10th anniversary. That's right. We talked about this last time. For Monty Cook games, we're all big fans. The 10th anniversary is this year. And the Cypher System has a bundle going on at Bundle of Holding where you can get Numenera and The Strange, as well as God Forsaken, a bunch of really cool RPGs. You get a huge deal for only $17.95. You get all 7 complete current core books and play aids in the rulebook collection. Or you can upgrade up to the $40.43 level up to get the Worlds collection and 12 more titles for $160.50 of content for only $40. Support Direct Relief with that one. The folks who are over there getting protective gear and critical care for all of the COVID-stricken locations around the world. And finally, we have the Tolus Cypher Edition. It's an enormous fleshed out city and dungeon released for D&D 3rd edition, converted to Cypher and D&D 5th edition. Yes, definitely check out I said it correctly. You're right. Tolus, the Monty Cook's City by the Spire, also in support of Direct Relief. Plenty of awesome content for your bundles and your bundle viewing pleasure. And that concludes the bundle boss.
Yay! Round of applause for that bundle boss. I'm not
Have
gonna lie.
any of you actually seen the Tolus book in real life?
No.
I think I probably saw it in Mox once.
It is like a tome. Like it is a thick. I'm not even exaggerating. It is a huge, thick book, and yeah, it is. Yep. Not everyone is going to get their hands around it. Basically, kind of thing.
But it's going to look so good on the shelf.
Yeah, I know. It's. There's definitely a part of me that just loves tomes. So sometimes I'm just happy when they're like, no, let's not split this book into 2. Let's figure out how to make like this 700-page single book and just put that on the shelf because it's just great.
Well, it just sounds massive. But at least, it has improv weapon capabilities, and we always approve of improv weapon capabilities. But no longer will we talk about these bundles because now the court is in session. Everyone, I acknowledge Javion to bring the first case to the court. Please tell us what you would like to tell us on the crowdfunder court session.
Sure. I was thinking, we never really clarified, like, is this like modern day court or is this like the king's court or queen's court? Because every time I hear that gong sound, can I hear it again, Nora? Yeah, that one. Yeah. Whenever I hear that, I always think like, oh, are we in like, am I supposed to be like the defendant or like the plaintiff? Like, how are we? It doesn't matter. Anyway.
It's improv. Go with it.
Well, all right. Well, let's go royal. I'm going to say royal court because I have the Castles of Burgundy giant box. Oh my gosh. It's the legendary board game design created by Stefan Feld. And it's getting the Castles of Burgundy a whole new art design for their box. It's the legendary special edition of Castles of Burgundy. You get a ton of things, and it's all over on GameFound. You get a redesign of the art and layout to ensure that all of the pieces have great art and enhance the in-game usability. Now, I have with me over here on my shelf a different special edition. So this is like the 3rd special edition, like Castles of Burgundy I've seen.
It's a classic game.
It's so good. I love it so much. And you get all of these cool expansions. This is giant castle it comes with. Definitely check that one out. We're on GameFound. Speaking of which, Ra is getting a very similar deluxe edition as well. You're getting a huge box with upgraded components, redesigned art, just like Castles of Burgundy over on GameFound. It's very, very exciting because these are highly beloved games and they're already fully funded on GameFound. So you should definitely check it out if you are fans of or a fan of either of these games. And then finally, I also have Cultist Chaos. We are all big fans of cults here. I know I am. I grew up in one, in fact. Currently, there are 666 backers on this Kickstarter, so I'm afraid to tell you to go back it because I feel like there's something sinister going on behind the scenes, some sort of necromancy or weird voodoo going on to get the number to stay that way. But anyway, this is a card game where you get to be the cult initiates. You are going to be playing this card game. It's a very simple game about collecting cards. You play up to 6 people. It's about 15 to 30 minutes, and it's a really fast, compact game. You're collecting these cards. You're trying to summon all these different demons, cult things. It's really, really cool. And it is ending in 15 days on June 12th. Definitely check it out if you like the art as much as I do.
Yeah, the art style really reminds me of Adventure Time. It's got a very strong kind of like modern animation aesthetic to it.
Yeah, and Gravity Falls, I got that vibe too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check this one out. It's really, really cool looking.
Ooh, thank you very much. Well, now it's moving on to Animon Story. Hey, have you ever wanted to play a tabletop RPG about kids and their monster friends? Animon is a monster taming story tabletop role-playing game inspired by, of course, Pokemon and Digimon. I feel like this is more Digimon crowd, if I'm going to be really honest. You play as kids who partner up with their Animon buddies to go on adventures, fight, and involve them. But unlike normal like tabletop role-playing games, you actually control 2 characters in this. You play the kid and their creature. And the 2 characters, they're supposed to be constantly interacting. And they also have these roles, these point-based system called bond points that represent the friendship that you share together with your creature. You can choose from a pile of pre-made animons or invent your own. You might, if you're interested and you're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to invest in this, it's okay. They already have a free play kit you can check out on ish.io to give you a better feel for the game, just to kind of have a little taste test. And then you can go ahead and fully back it. It ends June 9th, so 13 days left, especially if you have like a young one that you're trying to get into tabletop RPGs. I highly suggest this game. Or if you just want to live your best millennial life in your 30s while playing games that remind you of your childhood past, this is the game for you. But yes, Animon Stories.
I really want to see this played where you play your own character, but you play somebody else's Animon. But that might just be the Wraith player in me trying to twist everything around.
Oh, you're talking about like the Gary Oak thing where you get to name your rival?
Oh no, like these like Wraith used to have this thing where you would play your character, but you'd play some other player's dark side, so that you had people to kind of role play your inner doubts and fears and terrors with. And if you like that idea, seriously, go play Wraith.
I think I need to play Wraith.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, geez.
But the thing here, I imagine it's actually going to be a little weird sometimes trying to have one player role play their character and their monster at the same time. But I think it could be really neat to have everybody play their own character, but play somebody else's Animon. You know what I mean? So like I'd make my character and I would make my Animon, but then Noir would play it so that we interact with each other as players. So like I think there could be some interesting things that you do there.
You ain't got enough badges to train me.
Sounds like an adult game.
Yeah.
That
it would
awesome,
be
though.
There you go. Now, Derek, you just need to get in contact with the creators of this game and be like, hey, I got some ideas of like, we should get.
I got some gold here for you that I'm absolutely sure you in no way thought of as you were putting this game together.
No, very cool and very interesting. But yes, Noir, what do you have for us at the court?
All right. So I've got Torg Eternity Pan Pacifica. It ends in June 14th. So that's about, just a second here. That's about 18 days from now. So Torg, I love Torg. It is a lot. So allow me to read their explanation to you. Torg is a game that features a myriad of realities that exist in independent universes known as cosms. About a year ago, 7 different realities invaded our world. Primitive jungles inhabited by sapient saurians known as dinos, masked men of mystery who could have stepped out of a Saturday morning serial, a cyber pope bringing cleansing technology to replace our sinful flesh. It's quite literally all of your favorite genres just put together. And it's an amazing game. And with this particular Kickstarter, they're adding the Pan Pacifica sourcebook, which details a cosm of corporate intrigue and ruthless competition where a handshake up front often distracts just long enough to land a knife in the back. This Kickstarter is going to include an adventure designed for solo play, missions around winning PR wars by exposing deepfakes, a colossal sea monster known as the Bakigujira, a motorcycle gang used as test subjects for gene mods. This is gonna go buck wild, and I'm very excited for the introduction of a corporate warfare, essentially.
This is the cyberpunky shard of Torg, right?
Yeah, it's very cyberpunky and very. I think the best way to describe it is like it's adding cyberpunk with like HBO Succession. So you can go in guns blazing in a neon after like a neon like nightlife, or you can set up corporate takeovers and things of that nature. So like I am somebody that loves games like that. Like a Coup is very much set in that same sort of setting. So this is very exciting for me. Torg in and of itself is just an amazing game that if you have not had a chance to check it out, I implore you, give it a look. You can play like a Conan barbarian, or you could like a gun-toting pastor, or just whatever you want. It's ridiculous in all of the best ways. Like I said, you've got about 18 days to back this. They have funded already. They are at 128,000 on a goal of, I believe it was 25,000. Twerk has a huge fan base. It's been around forever.
Torg is the classic RPG for anybody who thinks that tonal consistency or thematic consistency is for losers. And if you want everyone to show up with a different character from a different genre and just play together, that is Torg.
Yeah, if you've ever played like a game and you're just like, I would appreciate dinosaurs appearing for no reason, you want to play Torg.
Sounds like a fever dream. Just
to clarify, this has nothing to do with the Klingon from Star Trek 3, A Search for Spock, right? Because that's the only Torg I've ever heard of. Okay, so this is different.
But, I mean, I will say Torg as the RPG does have plenty of space for you as javion the player to be like, I would like to play the warlike alien from the Space Federation, while Bonsai plays the Shadow, the two-fisted hero, and I am a devotee of the Cyber Pope, and Noir rides a dinosaur.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, we're an adventuring party. Cool. Okay.
I don't know why, but this name makes me think of a twerking robot. Twerk. I don't know. That's what I thought at first.
Twerking robot, also a valid character concept.
I was just about to say you could probably build that in Torg. And listen, we don't often ask for fan art here on TableTakes.
Oh no!
But if you can draw a twerking robot, I would love to see it.
But it's got to look like Torg from Star Trek 3.
Yeah,
you gotta have the Klingon head and like the hair and everything.
This is the request. Please get on it, artists. All the Gen Con artists. But with that, folks, with a little bit of laughter, that was our Table Takes today. But hey, guess what? Stick around, because coming up next at 3:30, we got Noir. What game are we playing? Urban Shadows. Tell us about it.
We're playing Urban Shadows 2nd edition. The game is still not out, but we do have access to the quick start guide. I have been a fan of Urban Shadows since the 1st edition. Very excited to get my hands on the 2nd edition when it comes out. I backed it at like the highest level. It is by far my favorite Powered by the Apocalypse game.
Great.
All right. Yeah, no, and of course, Javion and I will be in on that. So if you want to see us play some characters, stick around to 3:30 today for TableTakes game night. And
Game
then
night.
after game night. and then at 5 p.m., join us for joyful gaming around Sarah's table. GM Sarah Moore is going to be playing Cupcake Witches with some wonderful guests, and I demand, why don't we get any cupcakes? Why don't we get cupcakes, Sarah? Why don't we get cupcakes?
I was in
That's
that
okay.
game, and I got to be one of the Cupcake Witches, and it was great.
Oh, did
It
you
was-
get a
it was-
cupcake though?
It was super fun. Yes, I did. I did get a cupcake.
Oh,
It was great.
okay. All the cupcakes. Now I need to be on there so I can get a cupcake. But also after, we got Nerd Botchery Adventures continues this Sunday at 4 p.m. through 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with more D&D, cosplay, and a whole lot of Dwarven Forge. And then, here at Gen Con, we have a lot of slew of shows to go on. Keep in mind, all the times that I'm saying are Pacific Standard Time. So if you happen to be in another part of the country, just kind of calculate the time. Google search what time you need to actually be checking it out. But starting again with Mondays at 4 p.m., board games with the Brothers Murph. Both the brothers are back. We want you to go ahead and go in and say congratulations on the offspring when you go ahead and see them. Join the Brothers Murph as they go ahead and play some games. Tuesday, we got Out of Character with Mark Tassin. 5 p.m. Of course, we got Kathy Paints with her beautiful miniature painting tips and tricks and all kinds of fun. And then afterwards, on Wednesdays, we got 6 p.m. Actoroki Series 3 continues.
Woo!
This is why Peter's missing today, because he's like, I gotta get things done. We appreciate you, Peter, for doing all that you do behind the scenes, along with Marcus. And then, of course, on Thursdays at 10 a.m., Blood on the Clock Tower will be done. A social deduction game, bluffing game for 5 to 20 players on opposing teams for good and evil, overseen by the storyteller, who conducts the actions and makes crucial decisions. And afterwards, in the afternoon, we got 4 p.m. Roll with Rem Alternus, interviews with creators, developers, and Shadowrun. Then, of course, you can come back to the best time period on Friday at 2 p.m. where you can see our beautiful faces and play some game night and join some Sarah's table. I want to thank everyone here. Of course, Derek for rejoining us and making us see your beautiful, lovely green room. Noir for being the handsome gentleman he is, and GM totally not buttering him up before we play a game.
I will make you cry.
No! And then, of course, our unbirthday boy, who is the best, sweetest marshmallow in the world, Javion. And also thank you, all of you who are coming in and joining us. If you miss our programming live on Twitch, don't worry. You can 24 hours later, you can catch us up on YouTube. And don't forget that Gen Con is coming soon, so go ahead and register and get all those things and make Derek panic. But yes, have a good one, everybody. We'll see you at game night. Bye.
Bye.